Hey Rochester, we at our town are going to do something a little bit different for the next few weeks. We're going to talk a little bit about the Minnesota State Legislative Session coming up. Now this is the second year of a two-year biennium, and typically in the first year the major budget bills are passed, and the second year the focus is on bonding bills and the capital projects. It's obviously going to be an interesting session because we come into that session with about an estimated $7.7 billion state surplus. Now, as recently as a year and a half ago, that number was a negative number, so it does shift very quickly, but it does give the legislature some opportunities to perhaps reduce taxes or invest in other parts of the state. At our town, we're going to look at the state legislature from a Rochester perspective, seeing what's going on there and how it's going to affect the people of Rochester and our communities. Now, I spent parts of 3 decades in local office, so I have some experience working with state and federal officials. And it's important that these sessions, a lot of times it's easy to just gloss them over, but there is important work being done that affects the communities that we live in. And I know not everyone has that same extensive background, so here's a little information about how our legislative process works. We have obviously Governor Tim Walz, and then we have a total of 67 senators and 134 representatives. Each representative represents about 40,000 people, each senator about 80,000. Each Senate district is made up of 2 House districts. There are 6 legislators who represent parts of Rochester. In the Senate, the north side of Rochester and surrounding areas are represented by Senator Dave Senjum, the south part of Rochester and surrounding areas by Senator Carla Nelson. Representatives Tina Liebling and Liz Bolden both represent mostly the city of Rochester proper. Parts of the west and northwest are represented by Representative Quam, and the southern part of the city and areas surrounding on the south are represented by Representative Nels Pearson. Now, you can follow the link and see exactly who represents you at different levels of government, but in general, when folks are interacting with elected officials as a local unit of government, you're typically reaching out to the delegation and asking them to work as a team to get things done. And that does make it helpful that we have both Democrats and Republicans representing the city of Rochester in the only state house in the country that is split between Democratic and Republican control. We are fairly early in the session, but already some interesting bills are coming out. In the House, there's a fare repair bill that's been introduced, and this has gone around the nation with pretty broad bipartisan support. And this means that whether it's your smartphone or a $500,000 tractor, there should be competition in terms of who can fix it. You shouldn't be locked into the original manufacturer. That drives up costs and decreases the ability to get things done quickly. In addition, there's a big focus now on removing lead from water supplies. There's a bill in the House to do this, and obviously part of the infrastructure bill is aimed at removing lead from public water sources, and the state's looking at private ones as well. Lastly, there's going to be a constitutional amendment proposed coming out of the House on gender equity. In the Senate, a lot of the bills that have come through appear to be focused on infrastructure. There are a couple of bills that would take a look at reducing taxes or eliminating taxes on Social Security distributions, even if you have additional income. Also, bills have been introduced to provide some funding for various infrastructure projects in the local area. I'm always interested in what local priorities are and how decisions at the state legislature are going to affect us here in Rochester. I reached out to my county commissioner, Sheila Cascaden, who was kind enough to share with me some of her thoughts. The county has identified some key infrastructure projects that they're looking at. This includes the ability to do a major expansion to allow more efficient processing of waste at the waste-to-energy facility, a major interchange west of Rochester, and also some additional facilities at Graham Park. But even though it's a bonding session, there's probably going to be some additional focus, and as we've dealt more and more with the homeless issue and with issues of mental health, some of the state reimbursements aren't necessarily doing what they need to do, and there's hope that some of that can be changed to be more equitable to counties.